Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The number of refugees to escape Ukraine has now hit 1 million. The UN says more than 500,000 people are heading to neighbouring Poland. The situation there is so desperate, there have been reports of crushes and stampedes to try to cross the border. There have also been emotional scenes at stations across Europe. Here, friends reuniting in Berlin. The EU says they are working to agree on a temporary protection scheme to try and house those fleeing. In the war, Russian forces have taken control of more towns. This dashcam footage showing the moment of a huge explosion in Chernihiv. Russian forces have also taken Kherson in the south, the first major city to fall. Elsewhere, fires burned through the night in Borodinka, north of Kiev. And in Mariupol, which has faced days of heavy attacks, the city council has accused the Russian army of genocide. But in a video address, President Zelensky says Ukraine's defense lines were holding and said more weapons were arriving from allied countries every day. Meanwhile, NATO are stepping up patrols in the skies above Eastern European countries. Here, a Boeing plane is patrolling over Poland. And the French army sending tanks and armoured vehicles bound for Romania. France has also said it planned to send 500 soldiers to the country to boost NATO forces in the area. Speaking in Romania, the EU Commission President said the EU would take more steps against Russia if the conflict worsens.
In addition to our unwavering support for Ukraine, we are responding with strong sanctions against the Russian leadership.
Ursula von der Leyen also said the bloc was preparing in case of Russian retaliation, including diversifying their energy supplies. Aid continues to be sent to Ukraine from Western countries. Here, a plane taking off from Britain. And countries continue to stand in solidarity with Ukraine with shows of support. The bells of Notre Dame in France ringing out at midday to mourn those killed and pray for peace. Authorities in Australia have issued orders for more people to leave their homes after heavy rains triggered more flash flooding. Whole cities and towns have been submerged by the rising floodwaters. Some 500,000 people are likely to face calls to evacuate from the Sydney area. Experts say the rising number of floods like this is most likely down to climate change.
The number of extreme rainfall events has increased. So the number has increased, but also the intensity, so the amount of rain that we have seen during these events. This is most likely driven by climate change, and that has several reasons. So one of the reasons is the increase in atmospheric temperature. So the temperature can hold 7% more water for each degree of warming that is experienced.
And finally, the Somali capital Mogadishu has opened its first riding stables in decades. These locals are cheering during a training session, preparing for the first horse race in the city for dozens of years. Slowly improving security has increased demand for sport and leisure activities, with horse racing proving to be a hit. Watching the training, this mother of 5 said she was happy to see an activity that inspires young people and entertains parents like her. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.